Hello, everyone. Happy Friday the 13th, and welcome to Mylio Photos Coffee Break. My name is Angela, and today we're going to be talking about the resources available to you when you get stuck in Mylio Photos. Whenever you're learning a new piece of software, there is always a learning curve, and we have a lot of resources available for you at Mylio, whether you have questions on how to do something or you get stuck along the way and maybe something's not working the way you expect it to. So we're going to go through all of those resources today and get you acquainted with them so when you get stuck, you know how to get unstuck. Before we do that, I do want to let you know that we've got another packed week for you next week with live events. On Tuesday and Thursday, we'll have our regular live Q&A sessions. These are Ask Me Anything sessions where you can come in and ask me anything that's even like remotely related to photography. We talk about Mylio, we talk about organization, we talk about family history, photo editing, photo gear, any of that stuff. They're really fun sessions, and I come away learning a lot from you as well. So please make sure you join me for those. On Wednesday, we're going to have a special guest. We're going to have Allison Friedman. She's a professional photo manager, and she's going to be talking about the Traveling Photographer's Guide to Organizing and Backing Up Your Photos. In addition to being a professional photo organizer, she is an amazing bird photographer, and she loves to travel with her camera. So we're going to really enjoy having her. Every webinar we've had with her has been excellent. So don't make sure you don't miss that on Wednesday. It will be recorded in case you're not able to be there. Next week on Friday, we're going to talk about some editing tools, and we're going to go over the basic editing tools that are in Mylio Photos. I know a lot of times I talk about using third-party editors because I really love the process of photo editing, and I go all over the place and use a lot of different apps. But there's some great tools built right into Mylio Photos. So if you just want to do some basic edits and you don't want to have to learn a whole new program, we're going to get you acquainted with those tools so you don't have to jump around. So that's going to be next Friday. Lots of great stuff coming up for you. During this session, Lori will be helping out in the chat and answering questions as we go along. We'll also have time for Q&A at the very end. If you do have questions at the end, you can use that raise hand icon there at the bottom of your screen. That lets me know that you'd like to unmute and ask a question. You can find that either under the reactions menu, it might be under the more menu, or you can simply type your question into the chat or just say, I have a question, and either Lori will answer it or we'll save it to the end of the session. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into today's session, which is getting unstuck in Mylio Photos. So the reason we decided to come up with this is there's a lot of resources that Mylio has that you might not be familiar with. Obviously, you found this session, so you've probably found our community and you've found our live events, which is great. And we're going to mention those a little bit today, but because everyone here already, I think, knows how to find those, we won't go too in depth on those. But there's a few new things that you might not know about that are going to make your life a lot easier. So we're going to talk a bit about the Learn panel, which is the in-app tool that can give you some step-by-step guidance. It also has our built-in AI chat, which you can find through the Learn panel or you can find on our support website. We'll talk a little bit about our product manual, which is our deep dive into everything Mylio. We'll go over the Mylio communities. There might be some resources there that you didn't realize exist. There's a lot there and a lot of different sections. So I'm going to point out a few things that are going to be really important to know as you move forward with learning. And then if you need direct help from one of our support agents, if something isn't working the way that the documentation says, and you think that there's, maybe you encountered a crash or something else, I'll show you how to file a support ticket and make sure you give the right information to make sure that gets solved promptly. So let's go ahead and move forward to talk a bit about the Learn panel. The Learn panel is an in-app panel that pops up when you first launch Mylio Photos. And like most pop-ups, you've probably closed it. And I do that too. But I want to let you know where it is and what to find there because there's a lot of great resources. The first is our AI chat. We've named him Len, and he has access to, I say he, it's AI, but has access to the entire product manual, all of our troubleshooting articles at support.mylio.com, and some behind the scenes white papers that we've done to give it context. So there's a ton of information that this AI can work with. And regardless of how you decide to interact, it is an amazing tool. And when you're searching for an answer, this should be the first place you go because you're probably going to find it. And you can use natural language. You don't have to use any crazy search parameters. It's just pretty fabulous. Now, as with any AI, make sure you kind of do a double check. If it's telling you to delete something and you're not sure, you can always escalate to a human. Just say, I want to speak to a human, and that will convert your ticket into a support ticket, which will then be answered within 24 to 48 hours by a human being. So if you're concerned, if something doesn't make sense, feel free to fact check it. I am the one that's training Len. So as we go through and we're seeing what people are asking, I'm making sure that those answers are correct. And I'm making sure I'm adding context where it's necessary. There's a lot of stuff that goes into training an AI, and that's mostly my job. So if you have questions or something doesn't seem quite right, you guys are always free to message me in the community as well. I'll show you how to do that. The Learn panel also has links to release notes. So if you just had an update and you're not sure what's in that update, you can always go there and see. There's a Learn section with some common steps and workflows that you might encounter in Mylio, and links to other resources. So let me jump over to Mylio here real quick, and let me show you where this is. Let me go ahead and close that out of the way. So if you've closed out that pop-up window, like most of us do, we don't like pop-ups, go over here to the very far right sidebar. There's a little book icon. Click on that, and that pulls up the Learn panel. Give it a second to load, and the home screen has what's new. You can go there and see what the product updates are, those release notes. You can click on Learn and links, or most importantly, open chat here at the bottom, or click chat up here at the top. Any of those are going to get you to Len, and that's going to pop up with our AI, and you can ask it anything. We'll do our best to, like I said, keep this updated if it's giving you a bad answer, all of those things, but this can actually convert into a support ticket should it need to. But you can ask a ton of great questions there. And I love that it's referencing, like I said, our manual, which is, if you download the PDF of it, it's well over 1,000 pages. I never expect anybody to read that cover to cover. But there's a lot of information there that might be helpful, and being able to ask a natural language search here makes a world of difference. I also want to point out, like I said, our news, which is going to give you our product update and our most recent release notes. You can go here for the full release notes and changelog. Under the Learn tab here, we've got some basic steps for things that you might be wanting to accomplish inside Mylio Photos. So let's say we want to talk about map view and location tagging. This is going to give you an overview of what some of the things that you can do. And it links out to the manual with more in-depth instructions. The links section here gives you a link to our how-to guide, that's the manual, our fundamentals course videos to the community, and this Learn from Experts takes you to our live events listings so you can join, say, Q&A or something else like that. So lots of good stuff in this Learn panel, but by far the most important, I think, for all of you here, if you didn't know, that AI chat is absolutely brilliant. So make sure you keep that in mind. The Learn panel definitely got an upgrade once we got that integrated. All right, so that's the Learn panel, and that should be, when you're in the app, your first stop if you're wondering how to do something, or even if something doesn't seem like it's working quite right. Because like I said, it's looking at the how-to stuff, but it's also looking at our troubleshooting documentation. So the AI chat lets you ask things in plain language, searches the how-to guide and your troubleshooting documents. You can also get to it from support.mylio.com. And if you need to speak to a human, if you're not getting an answer that makes sense to you, you can just say, talk to a human, type in human, enter your email address. All of those things will convert it directly to a support ticket, which will then be answered by one of our live human beings within 24 to 48 hours. So that's always there if you need it. We also have the help menu that's in the app, and a lot of people don't realize that that's there as well. So there's a few different ways that you can access help from within the app. There are like 3 different main ways, especially if you're on a computer. The one that's common between every single platform, whether you're on a phone, tablet, or computer, is if you go here to the More menu. Down here at the bottom of the More menu, the 3 dots in the upper right, we have Help. On computers and on tablets, you're also going to see the Help icon right here in the top menu bar. Or on computers, you have a Help menu here at the top. These all have the same options. It's just different ways to get to what you need to find. Learn Mylio Photos is going to take you to our self-guided onboarding. So if you're brand new and wondering what you need to do to get Mylio Photos set up, you can go ahead and click on that. Troubleshooting will take you to support.mylio.com, where our troubleshooting articles live. And again, you can access Len, our AI chat, there. We have our how-to guide. This is the product manual. And if you go there, you can download that 1,000-page PDF if you really want to, and actually put that PDF into Mylio and have that with you all the time if you like. We've got some FAQs here. These are mostly pre-sale questions, so if you're just test driving Mylio, this is a good place to go to learn about those commonly asked questions. If you run into a hiccup, this is where you go and you can contact Mylio support and create a support ticket from directly in the app. If you need to create a support ticket, this is the best way to do it. You can do it from the AI chat. Absolutely, please use that if you feel like it. But what this does, if you go from here, is it lets you attach logs. It lets you attach screenshots. It lets you attach any kind of backup that you might need to show us what's going on with your system. So if whatever issue you're having with Mylio, you're still able to launch the app, we do encourage you to use this option to contact Mylio support. Below this, there's an option to submit logs. This is something you should do if you're asked to do it by a Mylio support technician. Simply submitting logs does not automatically create a support ticket. That's something very, very important to know. There are times we've had people say, hey, I submitted a ticket, I never got a response. Well, they submitted logs, but that doesn't tell us any other context. It just gives us a text document on the back end. So what you need to do if you want us to reply is make sure you choose Contact Mylio Support. A couple of other options down here. We have a sample library. So again, if you're just kicking the tires on Mylio and want to see what a fully populated Mylio could look like, you can choose Add Sample Library. This will also switch to Remove Sample Library if you have the sample library installed, so you can get rid of it if you no longer want to see those sample images in your library. Under Advanced, there's a couple of other options. You shouldn't need to get into these very often. We have a console, which for our very, very advanced users and people who want to get a peek at the database and so forth, you can go into console and there's other commands you can run on the console. Typically, for the average person, you're only going to need to get in here if support instructs you to do so. Most people don't need to get into the console. It honestly is very overwhelming to get in there. You see a bunch of lines of text going by and things that, especially for me, I don't understand what they mean. I have to have somebody diagnose and to translate those for me. So probably stay out of the console unless you're directed to do so by support. And then this option to show support options on startup. You can get to this also if Mylio is not launching correctly, you can get to that menu by holding down the option key and then double clicking on the icon to launch the application from your applications folder. But what this does is it brings you to a screen where you can do a catalog repair. You can open Mylio in the safe mode. You can do a handful of other actions that if Mylio is not operating as expected, that's someplace you can go to do a little bit deeper troubleshooting. So again, you probably won't need to get in there, but it's good to know that those options exist. And like I said, you can get to all of these from the help menu here at the top of the screen. Click on the little help menu or the help icon here at the top right, or on all platforms, you can find the help menu underneath the more menu. One other thing to note, if you click on the help icon here in the upper right, this brings up a really cool tool that gives you an overlay of all of the various icons in Mylio. So if you're not sure what all these various icons mean, this gives you that overlay. So over on the left, here's all of your different views, spaces, workflows, and so forth. So it gives you that. You can go ahead and click next. It goes over what's on the right panel, and next over here what's at the top, and then click done. Or below that, you can saw there was an option to click more support options or more help options. And again, it brings you to that typical help menu. So some things there that you might not have known existed. And I know a lot of people, especially when they're first getting to know Mylio Photos, they notice that we have a lot of icons that are maybe not familiar to them. That can be really confusing. By clicking on that, that gives you that overlay. You can see what they are. And I find that to be very, very helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and click through that, click done. Let's jump back over to the presentation. So help menu, you can find that from the three dots in the upper right, the help icon, or that top app bar on computers, and choose help. All right, the manual. This is what we call the how-to guide, and this is a comprehensive reference for all of Mylio Photos features. It's more thorough than the Learn panel, and it's best for understanding the why, not just the how. You will be best off using this when you need the complete picture, Most of our other resources will link to pages in the manual. This is probably not something that you need to go read the whole thing yourself. You can find it at manual.mylio.com, and let me pop over to my browser here really quick, and I'm going to pull that up. So I'm just going to type in manual.mylio.com and give you a little overview of what you can expect to find here. So up at the top, you've got a search. I will say that the Len, the AI chat agent, way better than searching here. This is just a simple text search, and we'll search keywords in the manual, but you're not going to find as in-depth of search results here. Each one of these options here on the left, these are chapters, and you can expand these for more options. So each one of these has more stuff you can go into. And then down at the very bottom, we've got some sections that might be helpful, like keyboard shortcuts. We have a glossary that goes over all of the tools and terminology. It gives examples of all the icons and what they do, and it links to various areas in the manual. And then we've also got a really extensive appendix with other things that are related to Mylio, but not necessarily how to use the application. Like if you're coming from Lightroom Classic, if you want to know how Mylio is working with Apple Photos, and so forth. There's a lot of other information in here. And again, this is all searchable through our AI agent. And when you do that AI agent, make sure you scroll down to the bottom of its reply. It will give you links to the manual and the sources that it's citing. So if you want more in-depth information, this is where it's going to bring you. So that's always really good to know. So that's the manual. That's the how-to guide, which you can get you from the help menu. You can get there from the learn panel, or you can go directly to manual.mylio.com. And then on to our Mylio community. And again, like I said, most of you probably are familiar with the community because you're here, you found this event. But for those of you who are new and might not know what all we have going on in the community, this is where we post most of our educational content. So right now I'm in the events calendar. Up here at the very top, you'll find your dashboard, and you'll find the events calendar. Those are the two places that I like to check most frequently for updates. So if you go to dashboard, that's going to give you everything that you're following in one single feed. So you can go ahead and scroll down and see new events that have been posted, new comments, and so forth. If you want to see just the events, go ahead and click on events calendar, and you can get the links to Q&As, coffee breaks, here's next week's webinar, and so forth. So lots of great stuff there. Home is kind of where we post general information. If you have a question about Mylio, so maybe you're not finding the answer that you want in the AI chat, maybe you already filed a support ticket, or maybe you just want to learn from other users and have a workflow question, kind of a best practice. You want to see what everybody else is doing. This Mylio Photos quick questions section is where you can post questions and they can be answered by other community members. I've watched this very, very closely. I'm answering people in here all the time. Lori keeps an eye on it as well, as do some other members of our support team. So this is a great place to interact with other Mylio Photos users and get tips and tricks on workflow and ask questions. So you can ask support related questions here. If I can answer it here, I absolutely will. Sometimes I do have to nudge you along to go ahead and contact support, but it just depends on what you ask. If you ever want to message me directly, go up here to the little chat bubble in the upper right. You can just type in Angela. You can find me that way, and you can send me a private message. So you can either post publicly here in the quick questions or send me a private message there in the chat. For some other education resources that you might want to know, if you scroll down here to the Learn section, we have another link here to our self-guided onboarding. So if you're just getting started, those quick start steps. We have some quick start videos, other tips and things like that. We've got a whole section here of tutorials, and those can give you some ideas for workflows and how specific areas of the application work. And then if you scroll down a little bit further, you'll find our live event recordings. So if you're not able to attend coffee breaks, maybe they don't fit with your schedule, this is where you're going to find recordings of all of our past coffee breaks going back something like 4 years now. So there's a lot here, and they go way, way back. You can search by topic. You can go ahead and do a search here at the top and find something that if you're looking for a specific tutorial, chances are we've already covered it in some fashion. We also do a lot of longer form webinars, and this is where you can find recordings of all of those webinars. We've got stuff in here on printing. We've got stuff on backing up. We've got stuff on photo gifts for the holidays, family history. We've had guest webinars where we had people come in from different software companies. So lots of great stuff here. definitely go and check that out. And know that those are available for you to reference anytime on demand. And again, to get to this, you're going to go to community.mylio.com, or you can get to it from that help menu inside the app or from the Learn panel. All right, so that's the Mylio community. And then finally, support tickets. So when Mylio is working like as it should, you shouldn't need to contact support. If you have just a workflow question and you just want to get help on how do I do this, use the AI chat, use the community, that quick question section. If something is not working as expected, if you've read through the documentation, you can't find the answer that you need, or something seems broken, that is the time to make a support ticket. So go to that help menu in the app, go down and choose Contact Mylio Support, or from that AI chat, type in, I need to talk to a human, and add your email address and we will get back to you. Some things to think about when creating a support ticket: include screenshots if possible. You want to include your device info, so information about your computer. Let us know what computer model you're using. Let us know the specs of your computer, what version of operating system you're running, and specific steps to reproduce problems. So if there's something that's happening repeatedly, make sure you jot down what view you're in, what things you clicked, what type of media you're looking at. All of those things can be really helpful in helping us reproduce issues and getting to a faster resolution. So, and that also speeds up the support time, because if you provide that right out the gate, that saves us from having to reply back to you and then wait for your reply. And it just speeds things up. So the more detail you can provide, the faster we can resolve your issue. And again, don't be afraid to escalate from the AI chat. Start with the Learn panel and the AI chat, and then go from there. Chances are for 80 to 90% of your questions, that AI chat's going to answer them. But if you need a human, we are here. Again, you can reach me through the community. You can use that Mylio Photos quick questions, or in the app, go ahead and create a support ticket, and our support team will help you out with that as well. For the support ticket, like I said, you can go to the help menu and contact Mylio support. Or if Mylio Photos is not launching, if you're not able to start the app to get to that menu, you can go directly to mylio.com/contact-support. And that is this form right here. And you're going to go ahead and say what you're requesting help with and fill in your information. It is better to go through the app if you can, because that automatically lets us know your account number and some background information. It gives you the opportunity to send logs and so forth. So again, minimizes that back and forth. But if for some reason the app isn't launching, this is here for you as well. And then one other thing that I didn't mention was our support.mylio.com webpage. You can also access Len, our AI chat here, but we also have articles that we've written for troubleshooting and other things here. So you're welcome to browse these articles. And again, if you use the AI chat, it will reference these articles. It will give you a link to the full article at the bottom. So make sure you look at those citations. And that goes for every single AI out there, not just ours. As you're doing AI stuff, read the citations, because AI sometimes gets it wrong, sometimes misinterprets. So if you're at all concerned, check those citations out. And then if you need more clarification, escalate to a human. We are absolutely here to support you. All right, so which resource should you use when you need help? So if you're stuck, to get unstuck, the first thing you're going to want to choose is that AI chat and the Learn panel. The reason the Learn panel is so easy is because it's right there in the app. You don't have to open up another browser window, and you can access the AI chat right there. You can also find the release notes, how-to instructions, and with that chat, use natural language search. So just say, I'm having a problem with this, or I'd like to learn how to do that. Make it very simple. It sources information from the manual and all the rest of our documentation. And we're constantly adding to and improving it. If you get an answer that doesn't make any sense, if it does a hallucination, let us know. Again, you can message me directly in the community. You can go ahead and escalate to a human there. The support team will let me know. However you want to do that. The manual is a great resource for in-depth documentation. So if you want to really dig into how something works, go to manual.mylio.com. If you'd like to join our live events, find those tutorials, other workflow tips, and talk to other Mylio users, check out the community. It's a really amazing resource, And like I said, I hang out there all the time. I'm answering questions, and I do my best to point everybody into the right direction for whatever it is they're needing to do. When something's not working correctly, if you're not able to solve it yourself, or the application seems broken or something like that, that's when we have you fill out a support ticket. This is for bug reports, repeatable app crashes. If the app crashes once, don't stress it. If it starts crashing repeatedly, and it's doing it when you do a certain set of things, absolutely let us know. We need to know those things so we can fix them. If something's not working the way it says in the documentation, again, let us know, file that support ticket. And of course, if you're having any account issues, if you want to change, say, your subscription to Mylio Secure Cloud, or you're looking at wanting to get a family plan, or anything you need to do to make changes to your account, feel free to reach out to us at support as well. Well, then join us next week. We've got a very full week for you. Q&A on Tuesday and Thursday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. On Wednesday, we're going to have a special webinar with Allison Friedman, who is a professional photo organizer. We're going to be talking about travel photography and backing up while you're on the road. That's at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. Friday's coffee break will be about photo editing, and we're going to stick in Mylio. We're going to look at some of the editing tools that Mylio has built in, so you can make your pictures look their best without having to go anywhere else. Hope you will join me for that. It's going to be a fun one. I always love talking about photo editing, so I will hope to see you guys at one or more of those events next week. And with that, I want to wish you guys a wonderful weekend. Stay safe this Friday the 13th, and don't do anything too terribly crazy, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye.